Hey guys, it's the Disco Spider, and South Park Season 21 finally ended. Yeah, I don't know. I talk about South Park a lot on my channel with, like, the DVD and Blu-ray reviews and the seasons. Now, I did review or talk about the first episode of this season and how I wasn't a fan of that, and, so yeah. But I guess, because I last year with Season 20, I did review that too, and let me just... I reviewed, or not, I don't think I reviewed, but more of like an overall thoughts on Season 20. And I decided, you know what, I'll do that for this Season 2. I'll probably do it for all the other seasons because, why not? I do like South Park. I have the shirt. I do own all the seasons on DVD and Blu-ray besides this season. And I have no notes or anything for this season. Like, I didn't marathon it beforehand and stuff. I'm going to go through my memory, which when I watched the episode when they first came out on TV. So, I don't know. I'm recording this the day after the Season 21 finale ended with episode 10. So, yeah. And it's been a while since I've seen some of these episodes, but for the most part, I think I know what I want to talk about. So, my overall thoughts on this season, it's okay. It's better than Season 20, I'll give it that. But it's not like a good South Park season. Like, it's definitely one of their weaker ones still. There are good episodes in this season, but for the most part, they're just not that great. And the reason, my main flaw with this season is the Heidi thing. I really hated Heidi in this season. I think the episodes that featured Heidi in more of a main role are the worst episodes. Like, episode 7 and 8 are the worst episodes of this season, and they're just really bad and really annoying. I liked Heidi at first. She was one of the only things I liked about Season 20 was Heidi and Cartman's whole relationship. I thought it was really cute. But now in this season, like, I felt like they didn't know what to do with Heidi and her character in here. So they're just kind of like, we'll keep her on for, like, maybe an episode or two, and then, like, halfway, like, episode 7, they're like, hey, what if we, like, turn Heidi into, you know, another Eric Cartman? And they had that plot, and they're like, hey, why don't we make her more of a, you know, it's like she's in the show more, and it just gets annoying, because she, okay, the first, like, half of the season, she wasn't annoying, but, like, everything else, the whole plot, how she's always brought up, and then Cartman's always an asshole to her, which I really hate. Sure, Cartman's an asshole, but to, like, his girlfriend, it's like, come on. I really hated that, and the plots that she was in just weren't interesting. They weren't funny, or, like, they were just really boring and just really mean-spirited, and I didn't like them. And then, like, after, episode 7, that's when she herself started being an annoying character, and that's the reason why, like, all the parts that she was in just really sucked. She is by far one of the worst characters, for different reasons, for the most part. Like, it's dumb. And another reason why I didn't like this or didn't think the season was all that great was, you know, this season, at first, they started off with, you know, episodic adventures, because, you know, Season 20 was all about serialization and stuff, and not a lot of people liked it, and even themselves didn't like it, because it was too hard on them, so they're like, we'll just go back to episodic adventures. But then, like, halfway through the season, they're like, you know what, let's not do that, let's start doing, like, episode arcs for no reason. They started trying to do that, like, episode 7, I think, that's the one where Heidi became another Eric Cartman, and the president, like, something happened with the president and all that stuff. They tried, like, the ending to that episode felt like they were going to do more with it, but they don't. They were just like, let's leave that cliffhanger, whatever. And the next episode, they do the exact same thing where the last part of the episode felt like it was going to be a cliffhanger, and then they're going to, like, move on to the next episode with, like, the same type of plot. But nope, completely different. And then the 9th episode, they do something very similar, like with them blowing up Canada. They don't bring that up. They barely bring that up in the next episode, but there's a few things that follow up in that episode. But for the most part, they bring up these plots that aren't, like, solved or anything. They're like, let's just finish that, we'll do it next episode. But then the next episode rolls around, they're like, you know what, nah, fuck that, we'll just make a new plot. And it's like, what's the point? If, like, a lot of the stuff weren't resolved, and it just felt pointless, a lot of these episodes. So that's my two main problems with this season, were those, the Heidi parts and the whole, you know, pointless subplot-ish parts. I don't know. But for the most part, this season, besides that, if it was fine. It's not as funny as the other seasons, but there were some laughs. I did genuinely enjoy, like, the 9th episode is probably the funniest episode, in my opinion. So there's that, and I did like how they went back to satire, like making fun of stuff, but not like, okay. Another problem I had with this season, which is kind of like, is they did well, but they also didn't do well, was the whole satire part. I like how they brought it back, and some parts were good, where they made fun of a lot of stuff, but for the most part, a lot of the satire just felt like you had to know what was going on. Like, episode 4, the whole this whole superhero part, the reason why I didn't like that episode was because, like, I didn't understand the whole Mark Zuckerberg thing. That thing just flew over my head when I watched that episode, because I knew nothing about the Facebook fake news thing. I knew nothing about Mark Zuckerberg, that, like, when they were parodying him. So, like, I was just very confused, and it kind of ruined my enjoyment, because I was not, like, it just wasn't funny. I was just like, what's going on? And, like, for the most, like, if you look back at any other season or any other episode of South Park, they satire the heck out of the show. But, like, you don't need to know what they're satiring to understand the joke, to understand the plot. Like, an episode that I always bring up when I talk about this is the episode, Butter's Very Own episode, which is one of my favorites, is, you can look up the plot, but the whole thing that they're satirizing was the O.J. Simpson trial thing. And you didn't need to know about the O.J. Simpson trial to get the joke, or to get, like, the episode. It still works on its own. And a lot of the episodes in here, I like how they try to do the satire, because I love satire. It's my favorite form of, like, writing or whatever, love literature, if that counts. I like that idea, how they brought it back, but they didn't do a great job, because it's always just, you need to know the thing to get the joke, to get the episode. That was my main problem with episode 1. And then with episode 4, and some episodes as well, where you just need to get it, and I don't like that. So there, just at the top of my head, those are my three main things I can think of right now. The episode, I mean, besides that, it's fine. I guess my favorite episodes of this season were, hands down, episode 2, Put It Down, is my favorite episode of this season, and it might be a little biased just because I love Tweaking Craig. The Tweak Craig episode is my favorite episode of South Park out of, like, all 280 episodes. That one's my favorite. So any episode with Tweaking Craig in it is obviously going to be an episode that I really enjoy. I did really love the songs in that episode as well. I did like the plot where Eric Cartman, he, like, it's about him wanting, like, he pretends that, or not pretends, but he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself and stuff, when he really just wants attention. And I like how they made fun of that in a way. Not like they're making fun of suicide, and anyone who says that they're gonna commit suicide is just full of shit and is dumb or something. Not like that. Just the people who use suicide to get attention. They made fun of that. Those people, which I thought was funny there. So just overall, that was a really good episode. And the whole North Korea thing does delve into the problem with, like, it's you really gotta know what's going on to get the joke, to get it. But I think it's like, the whole North Korea thing is big enough that, you know, even I'm a Canadian, and I don't even live, you know, in America, and I'm not really that affected with the whole Donald Trump and North Korea thing that much, but I still know about it, because it was all over the news. So something like that is, you know, you can kind of understand it, but it's still not that broad enough for this episode. But still, really good episode. You know, episode 3 was the the holiday special thing. I thought that episode was fine. It's just, like, it wasn't that funny. Like, at first it was funny, but then after a while you're like, okay, we get it. We get the plot. Just kind of just end already. Kind of like that type of thing. Which I did also feel with episode the Hummels, the episode 5, the one with the opioids as well. It's like, at first I was kind of into it, but then after a while I'm like, okay, we get this type of plot. You know, it was kind of just kind of derivative after a while. And then episode 6, Sons of Witches. I always like the South Park Halloween specials. They tend to be really good. One of my favorite episodes is Hell on Earth 2006. And this episode, for the most part, was also good as well. And I do like, this also does bring up how, I like how they brought up Mr. Garrison, the president, without doing what they did last season, where they're like, oh, did you see what Trump did? It was like, this is exactly what Trump did, now let's recreate it in this season. They don't do that. They bring Mr. Garrison, the president, in a bunch of episodes, but the only time they actually do that was with the episode Put It Down, when they did the North Korea thing. But they did their South Park thing where they exaggerated enough where it's funny, and it's different. It's not like they're just doing exactly what Trump did, being kind of like, you know, a satirical news type show or something. And it's in this Sons of Witches episode 2, which is another good episode in my opinion. And then episode 7 and 8, I don't remember much of those episodes just because I hated them. They're the worst episodes in my opinion, because of Heidi. She was the main focus of those episodes, so of course I'm gonna hate them. So yeah, and also it delves into the Heidi problem I had, but also delves in with the problem where I had no idea what was going on. They were like satiring, or they're just making fun of a lot of things that I didn't understand, and I still don't understand. So it just went over my head, and I didn't understand the plot at all. So yeah. And then there's episode 9 is another really good episode. The plot isn't like the best. I can barely remember what happens. But I remember laughing hysterically at this episode. Maybe if I watch it again, it won't be as funny. But from what I remember really liking this episode because I thought it was really funny. And then episode 10, the last thing I'm going to talk about for this video. Episode 10, it was mixed. The first half of this episode I really liked. I thought it was really funny. They referenced a ton of stuff. They referenced, first off, It. And they did, which I understood the reference there because I saw both of them, the movie and the miniseries. They referenced Stranger Things, which I've never seen, but for anyone who likes Stranger Things, that's cool. And then they also referenced Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature, which is hilarious. That just anyone who referenced Nut Job 2 is automatically amazing. So you got that. I really love the references, and for the most part, the jokes were really funny. But it wasn't until like the later half of the episode just wasn't that good. I'm trying to remember what happened in the episode because I barely remember. Even though it's the newest episode and that's the least like that I can barely remember anything from the episode, but I remember everything else from the other episodes, even though I haven't seen them in a while. Oh, here's one thing. It's not off the top of my head for that episode. I hate how they don't resolve the Heidi thing. Like, they were building it up. Like, the first couple of episodes, she was barely in it. Then in the middle, she was, like, in a few scenes. And then episode 7 and 8, she was, like, the main focus. And then, you know, episode 9. And this episode, she's also in. And I felt like they were building up the Heidi thing. Because, you know, they're like, we don't know what to do. And they're like, okay, I think we know what to do. And then it felt like they were going to do something. But they don't do it. And this is my problem with not the season, but the show itself, South Park. The newer seasons, I hate how they'll be like, oh, we got this cool, you know, this story arc we're going to do. We're just going to build it up for these episodes. And then they'll be like, episode 8, and then episode 9, like, oh shit, how are we going to end this? And then episode 10, you're like, okay, you build this whole subplot, this whole story arc thing for 9 episodes. Now, your 10th episode, the season finale, this has to be really good. You gotta, you know, just make it very satisfying. And they never do. Like, they started doing this in season 19, I think, with the whole, like, building up the subplots. One of the worst episodes of that season was episode 10. It was very disappointing. Season 20, the 10th episode sucked. That was, like, the worst episode. And in here, it's the same thing. They'll bring up something and they'll be like, okay, we're gonna do something cool with this at the end of the season, you know, get hyped, and then they don't do it. They're like, nah, we're gonna do it next season, and then they don't do it next season. It's like, what's the point? What's the point of like bringing this up and then not doing anything with it? It's dumb. The whole Heidi thing was really stupid, and they didn't know what to do with it, and it's dumb. So yeah, that's my whole spiel about this season of South Park. It's okay. There were some episodes I liked. It's better than season 20. Season 20, there was like no episodes I liked besides maybe the first episode. But for this episode, the season itself wasn't that good. But at least there's some episodes I can take away, like Put It Down being a new favorite of mine of at least the recent seasons. So yeah, I'm still gonna watch the show. I like the show a little bit more now. After season 20 got me real down because I'm like, this season sucked. I don't have faith in you, South Park. But now I'm like, okay, maybe you can do better, but also maybe you can't because of this season not being that great. But I'm still gonna watch season 22 when it comes out next year, and I'll do a review on the first episode, and then I'll do a whole entire a video like this on the season itself, and also be doing a review of the DVD or maybe Blu-ray if I feel like spending that much money on this season because I'm more than likely to buy it on DVD because I have all the other seasons on DVD right here. So, yeah, that's it. I'm the Disco Spider, and peace out.